I'm just going to show you what's in the camera bag for weddings in 2022. I haven't done this for a few years, so I just thought I'd show you everything I'm using. It has changed a bit. Obviously, we've had 2 years I haven't been doing weddings, to be honest, so I'm coming through to the 2022 season, and yeah, I just thought I'd go through it all. So you can see in front of you at the minute is the Canon 5D Mark IV. So I'm going to use the 24-105 Mark II, mainly. So I'm going to run this for the next 10 weddings and we'll see how we get on. I've been impressed with it. I've done one wedding, I think, with this and been really impressed. So a few things I like about it: the 85mm position, the spacing on the ring is better than the Mark I. So yeah, I'm getting used to it, and this one's going to stay. So I'm going to put that on the 5D Mark IV, back into straps as well. We'll see how long the straps last, but you'll see all the cameras are going to have straps on. Probably haven't used straps for, I think, 5 seasons, obviously before COVID. So we'll see how we get on, but yeah, I'm using maybe a few more cameras this time, so you'll see. So the 5D Mark IV, I'm getting used to the file. So we're going to use the 5D Mark IV, 24-105 Mark II. A good little setup. You'll see plenty of videos coming through about this camera, so go and take a look. So the main camera setup, that's the one. I'm going to use that the majority of the time. Got the 30 megapixel sensor. Obviously the 7200 f4, you'll know I love this. So the IS lens. I'm going to carry on with the Mark I. Still as good as it's ever been, obviously. So I'm going to carry on with the Mark I 70-200 f4. Flash wise, I'm sticking with the TT560. Very cheap flash gun. You can get this from Amazon. I'll put some links in the description. So the TT560, a simple manual flash gun, very easy to use. You just switch it on, and you just decrease the power. Now, I've used all fancy flash guns in the past, but nothing touches this. It's so simple. Work in manual mode, 200th of a second, 200 ISO, and just to give you an idea, at 5.6 you'll be full power. Then I can just alter the ISO on the camera, so I end up at about 800 ISO in the mid position, so that gives me flexibility. So my flash setup is 800 ISO on the camera, 5.6, just a bit of flexibility, nice and simple. One thing I will show you with this, just charge the batteries up. Again, look in the description. I always put links in there to different things. I've come across this battery that is working really well for me. See if I can line my eyes up. Here you go. So there you go, the Loupe Pro. So these black batteries were recommended, and Panasonic make them. I'm finding they're really good. The recycle time is faster, and they last really well. So yeah, going to be using those. So put that one back in the right way. Just a note on the diffuse, I'm mainly using bounce flash whenever I can. Whenever there's a white ceiling, white wall, white anything, I'll be using bounce flash. But obviously if you have to use direct flash, then I do use just that simple. It's not Stofen, it just comes with this flash gun if you get the right package. So have a look online, you'll find it. So that's literally my main setup. That's the wedding done. The majority of the time, the 24-105 will be used this year. There's different types of weddings, and I'll show you what I'm going to put on the 7200 as sort of a slip-in sort of camera, but that's it. There's no prime lenses. That's my main setup. Now, as you get to different weddings, you might have different things happen. I'll move this out of the way and give us a bit of space. I've got so many cameras here. So a camera that I am bringing in, you'll see me, you'll notice I start to do a few reviews on this, is the Canon 100D. I own this probably, God, when was it? I don't know, probably 8 years ago. 8-9 years, yeah, it was 8 years ago. Really like the camera. I have no idea why I sold it. I think it's because I didn't have the STM lens with it. Now the STM lens, the image stabilized STM lens is really good. And you combine that with this little body and you've got a great little setup. What I'm going to do as well is bring in the 50mm there. So the 50mm 1.8 with that camera, and I'm going to use that in the evening. So what I'm looking to do, I am doing a few more evening shoots, and I want to get rid of some of the weight out of the camera, the 5D Mark IV in the evening. So I'm bringing in the 50mm with the 1.8 on the crop sensor, so that becomes really the equivalent of an 85mm 1.8. I'm going to shoot that at f2. You get chromatic aberration, which you can clear up in Lightroom, but stopping down to f2 or f2.2 with the 50mm will get rid of some of that problem anyway. So I've been experimenting. I've done this setup before. There's an extension tube on there at the minute, just so you know, so that's not the full lens. So a 12mm extension tube on there as well. It just lives on there. That gives me a very good macro setup. You'll get very good macro out this lens, f11, f16 anyway. But the 12mm extension tube, if I need to do rings or close-ups or details, this camera can come in. Not going to be used all the time, not at every wedding. There's lots of different types of weddings. But I'm also going to put this 100D body on the 70-200 when I need it in churches. So a little bit of extra reach, 18 megapixel sensor at the 100D. I'm okay with that down to about 3200 ISO. So I've been testing this camera with noise reduction. Happy with it, 3200 ISO for my weddings. You might not be, so just bear that in mind. You're going to get a lot of people saying it's a noisy file. If you know how to treat it and you use Lightroom and you're careful and you reduce sharpening to 0 and use noise reduction, 100D is absolutely fine. This era of camera, this sensor and processor combination is really good. So that's the camera I'm bringing in. This is the sort of wedding where it'd be a church wedding, a bigger church wedding, and I want the camera body, this small camera body will stay in the bag. The 1855mm might be in there as a backup. But yeah, it gives me the flexibility to bring that in, give me a bit more reach from the 70-200 f4. Also, when I'm at receptions later on, when I want to lose some weight on the 5D Mark IV, then what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing the 70-200 and the 100D again. I've got so much confidence in this little camera. There's other videos, have a look. I put some up recently about how good the file is out this camera compared to the 5D Mark IV. So yeah, that's what I'm bringing in. Looking forward to using it. We'll see how we get on. You don't know until you use the system what it's going to be really like. So that's what we're going to do. Bear with me a sec. There we go. Just put that light back on. We'll bring that one out. Don't forget the STM lens part. I found the old one was not great. The autofocus works really good with this. Completely silent. F11, that lens is as good as that one. So let's move that out of the way and get on to the backup. Now, when I started doing weddings, I used a 5D Classic and I carried on. But before that, I was using film. So I was using the EOS 5, the film. So my backup was actually film. And as I've moved on, obviously your old camera, and I don't want to call this my old camera yet because it's not, but this is the 5D Classic, the Mark 1, and the 24-105. This system has been used over and over again. It's done a lot of weddings. When I say that, just not confuse you. I did originally have a body, wore it out. You go on to the second body. This is not the original body. I've done hundreds of weddings. So, and this 24-105, the original lens was worn out. It got so sticky on the focus ring, I had to get rid of it. So bear that in mind. This is not saying this has done 300 odd weddings. This system, the 5D Classic and the 24-105 Mark 1, I stuck with and I love it and still do. Just a few little things you'll see from other videos. I've mentioned this. is the Mark II is got a bit more breathing space from 24 to 35mm, which I'm really liking. It's also got a fixed position 85mm, which you can use because 85mm is known as a good portrait lens, and I can slip it round to 85mm, and I've got some breathing space between 105 and 70, so I use that for portraits quite a lot. 50mm to me is used, but it's a difficult one for me on full frame. I find I tend to go wide and I tend to go slightly long, and then I go full telephoto with the other lens. But the 5D Classic, still a great file. Look at the other videos. I've tested again the 5D Mark IV, still love it. The drawback for me is the iFi, the backup system I was using. I've gone through this before, but let's just take a look at it. I was using iFi, and I was literally pinging the JPEGs. I was creating a RAW file and a JPEG. The RAW file stays on there, and I was pulling the JPEG across to my iPad, and I was carrying that as I went along in the back. And what I've been trying to do, this won't go back in now, watch this. Trying to look through there and do that. Anyway, I'm going to leave that out. So bear in mind that that system worked fine, but iFi went out of business, or they just decided not to be in it anymore. It's mucked me up. So my software didn't work recently, got a bit annoying, and backup is so important with weddings from a point of view of your images and SD cards. So I've switched to 5D Mark IV for now. If I find another system, I might switch back again, who knows. But my main body is the 5D Mark IV for the majority of the wedding. And then this camera will come in when I really haven't got so much worries. Maybe the evening, we'll see. I don't really know, to be honest. Maybe the 5D Mark IV completely replace it. But this is my go-to. I can run for this camera. Literally, it's going to be in a bag, completely separate system. And I can run for this camera. And when I say run, I mean run. I've run from churches to car parks quite a few times because cameras are broken. So they do break, believe me. So anyone that says don't back up, don't use two cars, don't back up, don't use backup equipment, they're completely wrong, because these are just like cars, they just break. So yeah, and in that system as well, in the bag, is going to be some pack flash. So that's the backup system. And that is it. So that will literally do the job. So I know I can run for that. I know where it is. Yeah, so we're all set up. The 70-200 will fit into the backup system. If the 70, an interesting one is if the 70-200 was to break, what would I do? Then, to be honest with you, I could still do the 5D Mark IV with the 30 megapixel sensor at 100mm, and I can crop. So we've got options there. That's not so important. Having a backup lens, the 24-105 is my golden lens, to be honest now. And if I lost this lens, I would be in trouble. People say they can do a full wedding with a 50mm. That might be your wedding. For me, personally, I still need the wide end. So yeah, there's the little backup as well. So you've got some fast prime in the evening as well. Yeah, apart from that, there isn't anything. And one thing I do want to show you before I go, just to let you know what I'm doing with batteries and what's working. I'm using the Power Extra batteries for the 5D Mark IV. You've got the little lead at the back. Brilliant little charger, and that can be plugged into your car charging system. It's USB. Really good, that is. So the batteries are working really well. I'm using the Power Extra batteries. I won't get them out now, but I'll link in the description below. You might find you can get 5D Mark I batteries as well. So take a look in the description. There's always links. And that's about it for today. We'll leave it there. If you've got any comments, put them below. You talk about what you're using at weddings this year. There's also a link in the bottom where you can get on the email list. People don't realise, but there's a link where you can get on the Canon 5D Classic page. So I send you the page through, and as soon as you're on that, you're on the email list. I don't bombard you with emails. I'll just tell you when the next video's out. And yeah, that might help you. A lot of information on there, and obviously anything new comes through. So we'll leave it there today, and have a good season if you're doing weddings, and I'll see you probably with the next video in about a week. Thanks a lot.